Hey, what's up? I'm Benny Volin. I just did the music and sound effects for the trailer for this month's season of Marvel Snap. So I decided I'd show you guys a little bit about how I built that. Let's look here. Close this for now. So let's go through the sound effects first and then the music. Sound effects, starting here. Street noise. Simple as that. What I really loved about this was that I found a recording actually of street noise from New York City. I also think, let's see if I can find this. There we go. There's a little car honk right there. There are more than that, but that one in particular, I just like it. I actually moved this recording around so that that would be at a quiet moment in the trailer where you could hear it. I'll pull up the video here and kind of show you what's going on. So we have the Marvel logo, and then it gets all these different art styles applied to it. Let's solo sound effects, and for that I did a couple things. I have a spray paint can shaking, and spraying for that transition. I love the sound of a spray paint can shaking. And then I rifled through some paper and chopped that up. Get that classic Marvel sound going there. Next up, we have like 3 different scenes. We have these guys playing dominoes, we have a family on their stairs, and we have kids on bikes. So for the guys with dominoes, I had laughter. There's 2 different laugh tracks. Some actual dominoes. And the clapping. Let me put that together. And then for the family, I have some laughter too. I had to put reverb on that to make it sound right, like they were across the street. And a car driving by. This was fun. So I didn't want to bother finding the right car sound. It's like this delivery van, and I figured I have an older van, so I just took my old H2 Zoom field recorder out in the parking lot, set it on the ground, and drove past it a few times. I added some extra panning here to make the sort of left to right movement a little bit stronger, and we get this. Good stuff. And then for the kids on bikes, literally just 2 samples. This. There we go. Get that movement in there. Another spray paint transition. So for this panel sort of sliding in, I actually ended up just using a skateboard sound. I love that sound. So good. And then for the remaining panels, I tried several things, white noise and stuff. It didn't match the vibe of this. I ended up actually just taking 2 sheets of paper and sliding them across each other, sort of like Foley, where I like watched it and matched the movements. And I felt like the texture of that sound really matched the feel of the animation really well. Yeah, there's lots of little sounds going on here for every little thing that happens in the animation. So we get a Sharpie for when Miles' name pops up. A very squeaky Sharpie. A couple sounds here for the backpack. Dropping a bag and the cans. That sound is really important, and I use it one more time later. I was trying to get a sound similar to in the movie of the web shooter. So the way I built this sound was mainly I took the sound of a whip, which is usually like the and I took the part and made it start with the sound so you get more of a I can't do it with my mouth, but you can hear it here. And then there's a little wah 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 there too, because it's like the string is vibrating or something after it connects. And then we get the metal can there. I love that catching sound. I actually found a sample called Catching a Bottle of Liquid or something like that on freesound.org. By the way, cool website. Go check it out. Can be useful sometimes for random things like that. And then I have, of course, the jingly ball in the spray can when it's moving. A simple swiping sound, and the illogical but necessary spinning sound. That actually wasn't a spinning sound. That's rustling field of dried grass dot wave. Basically white noise. I added just a single band pass here with an LFO to it. And that's it all together here. Yep, sound of clothes dropping to get sort of this the hoodie here. Nice. And then he's on the rooftop. Big change here in the soundscape is just the wind. And I think I may have made the street noises a little quieter too. I love the wind though. The music just cutting out to wind there just like really draws you into the scene. Of course, we have footstep sounds for him. Like that. And then also the classic Foley like rustling sounds. I think I used like, I maybe had a sweater with me that day or something. They're so subtle, but like, check it out how big of a difference. So without it, and then with it, it just feels so much more realistic. I maybe especially because they're like brushing off his sweater and stuff. And there's that honk I talked about. Anyway, then we get. By the way, if you're looking at the names of tracks on the left and feel like they don't make sense, that's because they don't. I kind of dropped samples in one by one, and after a while, I got tired of keeping track and just dropped things in tracks that I already had. There's that whip sound again. We have swishes, some more footsteps here. Of course, the cans rattling. Backpack sliding. More Foley. And then, yeah, down here there were a couple sounds. Well, okay, so there's one more sample here of turning a page when it goes to the like cartoon panel there, which was fun. And then there were a couple sounds I built in synths. I especially like this one here. So I used this old, in Reactor, there's this old like physically modeled synthesizer of woodwind instruments. And it's a really deep, expressive synthesizer. So I played a super high note on it with like this pitch curve, and this bottom curve is how hard the instrument is being blown into. So like, let's take this pitch curve off for a second just to see. Yeah, you can hear it there. What if we blow into it more? Oh, we can overblow too. That's actually awesome, but maybe a little bit much. Yeah, and then there's like the little ping sound here at the end. I think I made that patch. Ping and motion. Okay, no, I took a patch in Massive and modified it for this. I think I actually took most of the motion part out of it. Because the presets are always too busy. Okay. Then he jumps off the building. I tried so many things for the fall that didn't sound, that's a great frame, that didn't feel right, so I ended up making the street noise louder as he gets closer, and I added just this one down here. Like you can hear his clothes rustling in the wind. That's actually, I think that's a sample of like a flag fluttering. Okay, we get lots of newspaper here, and then these cards were interesting. So the sound I started out with, I actually took my business card and just dropped it on the table a few times. That was really fun. And then there's also like the scribbling out of things. So I just took a piece of just a pencil, put the microphone really close. All that detail in there. What else? Whoa, where am I? I'm lost. Okay, here we go. And then I think initially I tried, because there's like these dust explosions, and I tried doing those with my mouth. Terrible. It's so hard to make sounds with your mouth to not sound like they're sounds with your mouth, so that just didn't work. So I ended up doing this patch. Literally, it's just white noise, and then I have this envelope. Okay, so I have this set up so that the harder I play the note, the sharper the attack is. And an 808, I guess, for more impact on those hits. And then later when it's the little chips coming in, on its own that sound isn't super great. A little, did I make that? What is that from? Oh, it's some percussion sample. Okay, no, I didn't. It's a muted triangle. It's a weird sound. Anyway, it works in the context. Another swirly sound here for the spinning around. I think I based that one on that same rustling grass recording. Page turn, splat. That's the sound effects. Now, for the music, let's see. I'm sorry, that's my phone. Sounds like a Minecraft villager. It's the best notification sound ever. Highly recommend it. All right, let's go check out the music. So let me close this for a second. Let's just tuck away the sound effects and mute them. Okay, so the music was in 3 sections, basically. We have, we start out with like East Coast hip hop. Then we have a little silence at the rooftop. Then we get some bomba percussion, which is like this traditional Puerto Rican, it's a combination of percussion and dance thing. And then we get a reggaeton kind of feel here at the end. And that's really it. By the way, if you're wondering about these weird time signatures, tempos here, that just happens when you're writing music to synchronize with an animation. You're like, okay, I need 4 measures here. I need it to line up with this. You just kind of stretch the markers until the timing lines up exactly where you want it. Yeah, so let's look at these one at a time. For the East Coast thing, I have some processing on it to make it sound like it's in a boombox and far away. That's just an EQ cutting off the lows and highs and some reverb in a concrete tank. Gives that nice like slap back of a wall kind of sound. So I'm going to turn that off for now. Okay, we have a simple drum groove here with some swing, random samples, and then I played this little piano riff. Sweet. Okay, and the bass line, which is an acoustic bass. Why are you over there? Nothing crazy. It's going through this big effect stack here, amplifier and stuff. And then I cut off the lows a bit. Okay, so I do want to talk about this bass line just a second. Story time. I was watching the A-Team movie, and Mr. T just listens to the best tracks, and I had to look some of them up later because they were so good. And one of them was House of Pain by The Game, who I'm not super familiar with, but I know that track really well now because I just love the groove on it. So that like mildly inspired this bass line. There's also another thing going on with it where I have like the square measure, and then I have the Tresillo measure, which is 3 + 3 + 2, which is kind of a nod to how clave rhythms work, where you have a straighter and a more syncopated measure that kind of sort of balance each other out. And then also this bass line just worked really well because it also worked with the reggaeton feeling later, and that sort of bookended this trailer. It's a detail. I don't know how important it is, but I really care about that stuff, and I had a lot of fun making that work. So that's it for the hip-hop. Well, there's my vocals. Yeah, so I did the rapping for this, wrote the lyrics too. I'll put them down in the description. NYC, where I be, the bad apple don't fall. So I have like the vocal doubling on some of the phrases, and on my voice, a tiny NYC, where I be. Tiny bit of pitch shifting. I don't really need that. NYC, where I. It's a little darker. I mean, I think I had it more earlier, but I didn't want like, you know, like that or anything. And then I have it going through Flat Blaster. I muted the lower tracks to get just the NYC, because else it's like NYC. Oh, I guess it doesn't sound that different in this context. It might be. It's running through some. Is it running through some other processing? Anyway, muted those because I didn't need them. This is great because it gives it dirty, like almost analog kind of distortion, but still leaves the pronunciation clear enough. NYC, where I be, the bad apple don't. So I felt like that worked really well. NYC, where I be, the bad apple don't fall far from the tree. The big apple's got a worm, mama make squirm, catch you in a web of rhyme. This time there's no way to turn. Yay. Okay. Then the music cuts out completely for a little bit, and then we get the bomba, which I just listened to some like recordings people had made informally on the streets in Puerto Rico and tried to mimic the beats I was hearing and the drums. I actually looked up like the specific drums used in bomba. I don't remember what they're called right now, and I could not find any samples or virtual instruments of them. So I was really bummed about that. But here's my bomba. A little bit of a shaker. And then I did add a little bit of extra here at the end with these triplets. Love them, to lead us into the next section on the conga there. So moving into the reggaeton, we have a few things to help us with the transition here. The bass line comes in a little early on the strings. And yes, those are a little bit muffled, so I like cut off the highs a little bit. That's because I wanted the highs to mostly be this nasty trombone sound here. Ah, yes. Who doesn't love low brass octaves? Simbasi, not trombones, but whatever. Who doesn't love low brass octaves? If you don't love low brass octaves, you're wrong. I have like an 808-ish bass. So it serves dual purpose as kick and bass, which was nice. So then the drum groove itself doesn't have the kick in it. Just like the typical 30-second note hi-hat and snare fills. And you can see the dembo rhythm going on here. And then we have this little melody. Oh, fun story about this little melody. So I was inspired by like the type of rhythms you hear in Latin hip hop in the vocals. And also I was probably influenced by an Adam Neely video where he talks about how language influences rhythms. I don't remember which one it is. But like da 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 is a thing that works really well in Spanish. So I did this. And what's so cool is I went back and listened to the main menu music in Marvel Snap again just to see if I was like getting close to the style. And I realized that exact melodic motif shows up in like the menu music. So I was super pleased with having that connection in there. I have some more dembo in here. You'll notice here the dembo is kind of weird because like in this measure it's normal, and then in this measure I did something different. That was partly that like sort of influenced by the clave type rhythm, and also just to break it up. So this kick drum matches the bass line a little more closely than if it was just this over and over again. I have this little offbeat synth going on there, kind of annoying on its own, but it fills out the sound nicely, and I feel like that sort of high, almost siren-y synth sound kind of works for a hip-hop trap-ish sound. That's almost all of it. Did I mention the little vinyl scratch here? I love vinyl scratches. They're not used much anymore. Anyway, a little bit of piano here at the end. I feel like it ties it together nicely with a touch of piano at the beginning. And then down here is like, sometimes after I finish a track, I'll go back and just like be like, are there any ear candy little details I want to add? So I brought the conga back a little bit in this last section. I filled out the sound a little bit with these nasty sounding strings. They're so messy. That's on purpose. So I think these are from Metropolis Arc 1. Yeah, they're the spiccato blurred strings. So that's awesome. And then, actually, I filled it out with that and this electric guitar here. Yes. What else do we have? Just a couple more things. I think that's just a flute. Yeah, with some pitch bend. Has like a Western vibe to it almost. And this reverse crash. And that's it, guys. So let's watch the whole thing. I'll sort of flip through some of the MIDI as we're listening to it. And that's it. Oh, yeah, let's put the effects back on here. And the sound effects. that's it. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Maybe learned something. See you next time.